And one major narrative explaining the broader market retreat is centered on Evergrande, a hugely indebted Chinese real estate developer that appears to be on the brink of collapse because its debt is held widely in China and elsewhere. Evergrande could trigger much broader financial fallout if it defaults. And joining us now to discuss is Ming Zhao, entrepreneur and former analyst at investment firm Point72, based in the Bay Area. Welcome to the show, Ming. So just quickly off the bat, I want to get your outlook on Bitcoin as you see that Bitcoin, as well as the rest of the crypto markets and traditional markets, have been very much impacted by this news out of China.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I definitely think that, fears are at kind of a local max right now with respect to crypto and, its correlation with Evergrande. I think that part of the reason why the drawdown is because, Evergrande had wealth management products that it was selling to its employees and other retail investors in China. And considering how much these retail investors, hold in Bitcoin currently, it's kind of like what happens during a bank run. Like if, the wealth management products are selling off, they can't get their interest, they can't get their principal back. They're going to need the short-term liquidity from, and then what do they sell? They're kind of going to cash out via their Bitcoin holdings. So I kind of think, it's possible that this is a kind of a slight peak in fears right currently. And, I see a rebound in the coming weeks.
Is this a Lehman moment for China? Is it just the beginning of a collapse in Chinese real estate? Like, we know that real estate in China is a factor in huge economic growth for the country. So will this have a domino effect in the rest of the economy in China?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. So I've actually been looking more into kind of what the bailout situation probability looks like and what's been happening previously. And it does seem like, ever since 2008, and frankly, in the last 2 years, especially in real estate, we've had a lot of, banks that are state-owned or partly state-owned and property management companies that are partly state-owned. And, China has a history of bailing these guys out. But the way that they do that is by printing more money. And obviously that cannot be sustainable. And if you look at M2 supply for China versus the US, actually China has quite like double. Like we think that in the US money printer goes burr, but in China it's actually a lot worse. So, it's kind of like at a certain point there will be a last straw on the camel's back. And whether this is it or whether it's going to be the next one, kind of just let's wait and see.
And I saw that on Twitter, you wrote quite an explainer on Evergrande because there wasn't much information on Western media, so you went into Chinese media. I wonder if you could give us an explainer of the problems here.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys have heard of the 3 red lines in China. So what that means is, about a few years ago, kind of the government looked at all of the over-leveraged asset management companies and other financial institutions, and they said, you guys can't keep doing this. Like, this is not sustainable. So they had 3 conditions imposed on, short-term liquidity. Basically, it's kind of cash to short-term debt, short-term interest ratio. And so they had 3 of these, and they said, if a lot of property management companies are kind of crossing all 3 of these red lines. And so really it's kind of like to find the details of their financials. A lot of them are not on Western media. China obviously not being a US company does not follow GAAP accounting. So their financial reports are not necessarily as easily Googleable as they are if you, go onto Chinese media and then search using, like Chinese characters.
I did see from your Twitter a poster showing China's top 3 most indebted real estate companies in 2020. Evergrande was number 1. And so now they have this problem. What happens next? A lot of people in the country, are suffering because of a potential default. And this may happen as soon as today, I read, or Thursday.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, is this the first of the dominoes to fall? And then what's after that? So the idea being, now that Evergrande is exposed, like how many other property management companies also have this wealth management product? Like how many others are also shadow banks, and how many others, are also trying to pay their employees with with bonds in lieu of salary, and then what? And if they do get bailed out, who's going to bail them out? Is it going to be the banks? Like, are they going to be the next line of defense? And if they fall, like they're also pretty levered. If they fall, what's going to happen after that? And it's kind of like right now, it's default is not even the problem; it's bankruptcy. It's like whether they miss their interest payments or not, which undoubtedly they will. Like it's not about paying back interest at this point; it's about paying back principal.
Right. In terms of the crypto markets, there are some stablecoins, namely Tether, that have said that they do have their reserves tied to Chinese commercial paper. They've said that they're not tied to Evergrande. Nevertheless, if there is this domino effect, do you foresee some problems in the stablecoin market?
Yeah. I think, obviously Tether has come out and said that they don't hold commercial paper from Evergrande. I mean, I think that's true. Like there hasn't really been solid evidence to say that to prove them wrong. So I don't see this having an immediate impact on Tether. I see if there is an impact in stablecoins, it'll be more at the macro level as like secondary or tertiary effects. So we already see like iron ore is going down, steel, copper. And so what you see in like commodities markets, it's emblematic of the fear that people have that the entire property market is going to go down in China. And it's more so like the fear and the macro instability that's going to, spook stable coins, less so than any like direct impact.
Long term for the crypto markets, do you think this will have any impact, or is this a short temporary blip?
Well, I think it's not news that, the Chinese government has taken a stance and they want order and they want stability and they don't want speculative gambling. The Chinese government has, since a few years ago, labeled crypto as speculative. And now they're trying to make real estate go from, speculative to non-speculative. And I think this is not news. Like I in terms of crypto markets, like I think we've known since forever that the Chinese government is against this. And so, crypto is going to continue to grow. Like, I think that there's so much utility from, all the developments that are currently going on in Solana and Ethereum. And, the drivers of growth are not like, I think they're unrelated to this. So I think that, crypto markets will recover.